Hi there and welcome to the Daily Arsenal News Show. Let's dive into today's top stories. Pundit says Arsenal now have a player who is going to be as good as David Silva. Martin Odegaard is finally fulfilling his potential. The Norwegian made his name at the age of 15 after a move to Real Madrid as a younger player, and while he went off the rails for a little while a few years ago, he is now living up to each and every expectation placed on him. He isn't just captained Arsenal in the Champions League for the first time, and he was arguably the man of the match against PSV on Wednesday. Speaking on Arsenal's YouTube channel after the game, Adrian Clark has been full of praise for Odegaard, claiming that the Norwegian's technique is up there with the very best players in the world, claiming that he is going to eventually be as good as David Silva in that number 10 spot. The Pundit spoke highly of the Arsenal midfielder. He said, effortless. The way he maneuvers the ball, the way he receives the ball, it's up there. David Silva is a Man City legend who is lauded for his style of play and his silk. I think Odegaard is going to be as good as him, if not better. I really do. Across Europe tonight, has there been a number 10 as good as Odegaard was? Getting to David Silva's level is no easy feat, but it has to be said that Odegaard is getting there. The Norwegian's numbers last season were as good as anything Silva put up during any of his seasons at Manchester City, and it has to be said that he is getting to that top level. Of course, Odegaard needs to lift a few trophies at Arsenal to secure his legacy, but if he continues on this trajectory, he could go down as an all-time Premier League great. Gabby Agbonlahor now believes the devastated Arsenal man has to consider leaving in January. Pundit Gabby Agbonlahor has admitted that Aaron Ramsdale has to consider leaving Arsenal in January if he can't fight his way back into the team. Agbonlahor was speaking on TalkSPORT after Arsenal's brilliant start to the Champions League campaign. A 4-0 victory over PSV Eindhoven is exactly how Mikel Arteta would have wanted his side to begin life back in Europe's top competition. The likes of Bukayo Saka and Declan Rice looked like they had been playing at this level for years, despite making their debuts in the tournament yesterday. PSV Eindhoven simply couldn't cope with their attacking threat, and ultimately the scoreline could have been even worse for the Dutch side. All eyes were on Arteta's team sheet leading up to the match, with a key decision needing to be made in goal. Aaron Ramsdale started the season as his first choice goalkeeper before being replaced by David Raya against Everton. The Spaniard kept his place in the team and produced another clean sheet, making 4 saves last night. Gabby Agbonlahor has now suggested that if Raya stays in the team in Europe and the Premier League, Ramsdale has to look to move on in January. If he has ambitions to play for England at next summer's European Championships, he can't afford to be sitting on the bench this season. Agbonlahor was asked if David Raya is the only goalkeeper playing for Arsenal. Does Aaron Ramsdale have to move in January? The TalkSPORT Pundit replied, 100%. Henderson left Manchester United and joined Crystal Palace, and he got a task to get Sam Johnston out the side. You have to go and play somewhere. It's as simple as that. And we said about Phillips and Maguire, but Ramsdale, he will be devastated. He got his team into the Champions League, was a big part of it. Football's heartless. Ramsdale will believe he still has a chance to work his way back into Mikel Arteta's plans, but teams are already considering a January move like Agbonlahor has suggested. Mikel Arteta admits he was really emotional after what happened to 23-year-old Arsenal player last night. Mikel Arteta has admitted he was really emotional after Arsenal supporters gave Emil Smith-Rowe a standing ovation last night. Arteta was speaking to the media after Arsenal thrashed PSV 4-0 in their Champions League opener. It's no secret that Emil Smith-Rowe has struggled for minutes under Arteta over the past years as the Highland Academy product has fallen down the pecking order. Indeed, The 23-year-old is yet to start a game this season after he was heavily linked with a move away from Arsenal over the summer, and Arteta discussed the Englishman's game time after last night's match, admitting he was delighted with the reception he received. As quoted by Football London, Arteta admitted he was really emotional after witnessing the reception Smith Rowe received from Arsenal supporter after he was introduced into the action. He said, "Yeah, we could manage the minutes of some of them, especially because of where they were coming from with the national team. As well, to give players minutes who fully deserve them. I was really emotional when I saw the reception of Emile Smith Rowe as well. It's a player that hasn't played much yet, and to get the reception that he got it was much deserved, and I'm so happy for him as well." Smith Rowe was a key man under Arteta during the 21-22 campaign, but has struggled for minutes over the past year. He put in an encouraging display from the bench last night in what was his first appearance since the Community Shield final back in August. Arteta has a wealth of options to choose from in midfield and across the front line, which has naturally impacted Smith Rowe's development. But the Arsenal Academy product will be hoping to rack up more minutes this season, or you get the feeling that he may have to find a move elsewhere in the future. Emmanuel Petit admits he is in love with perfect Arsenal player after PSV victory. Arsenal legend Emmanuel Petit has been raving about one of Arsenal's new signings, Declan Rice. Petit was on TalkSPORT after Arsenal's magnificent return to the Champions League. The majority of Mikel Arteta's side were making their Champions League debuts against PSV Eindhoven last night. The Emirates was electric as Bukayo Saka got the home side off to the perfect start. A 4-0 win was just what Arsenal needed, and it was arguably the Gunners' best performance of the season. A player who appears to have made a huge difference to how Arsenal play is Declan Rice. The 24-year-old midfielder has immediately adapted to Arteta's style of play and was magnificent again last night. Emmanuel Petit has admitted that he's been begging Arsenal to sign Rice for years. He believes that any top Arsenal side relies on having a top player in the holding midfield role. Rice fits the bill perfectly and didn't look phased at all when making his Champions League debut. Asked about the England international, Petit said, "I am in love with this guy. Before he arrived at Arsenal, I was begging Arsenal to sign him for 2-3 years already. I think this guy is a natural born leader and he has so many qualities. He shows so much maturity and composure on the pitch, and this is exactly what Arsenal needed for ages. For so many years, Saka and Partey have done a great job last season, but I remember when Arsenal used to win titles and fight for the big prizes, there were always so many great holding midfielders, so I think Rice is the perfect player for Arsenal." Declan Rice appears to be getting better and better every time he plays for Arsenal, which will come as no surprise to Petit. Ian Wright thinks 26-year-old Arsenal man is a completely different player now that he is fully fit. Arsenal legend Ian Wright now believes that a fully fit Gabriel Jesus can be the difference maker at Arsenal after an excellent showing. Wright took to X to celebrate the role Jesus was playing in Arsenal's 4-0 win last night. Wright suggested that the Brazilian will be a different player for Arsenal when he is at his peak form. He said, "A fully fit Gabriel Jesus." Of course, Arsenal fans will be very happy to see Jesus back on the score sheet last night. The 26-year-old took his goal quite brilliantly, his touch to bring the ball down being just as good as his finish. And although Edin Ketia has impressed in moments this season, Jesus must surely have his eyes on a start against the Spurs. Moreover, it's not just Jesus' goal threat that champions his start, he clearly has a very good effect on the whole team. Plaudits were rolling in last night for Jesus' work rate once again, and alongside Jesus, Ian Wright also reserved a special praise for Arsenal's William Saliba, another player he thought was playing an understated role. Of course, it has now been a while since Gabriel Jesus has been fully fit. The Brazil international has suffered two considerable knee injuries within a year, and although it will be easy to get carried away with Jesus' form, Mikel Arteta will be mindful of a repeat. Therefore, it wouldn't be too surprising if Nketiah were still given the nod on Sunday. Whilst Wright alluded to Jesus being fully fit, there is surely still a bit to go for the Arsenal man. Fortunately, Mikel Arteta still has a very competitive squad to choose from, and that was underlined by the excellent impact Arsenal's substitute made last night. Reece Nelson, Emile Smith Rowe, and Fabio Vieira all looked inspired coming off the bench. Paul Merson has now predicted the result of Arsenal versus Tottenham. Arsenal face Tottenham this weekend in one of the most highly anticipated North London derbies we can remember for a while. Both teams come into this game undefeated in the league, and they will both be hoping to compete for major honours this season. Of course, form goes out of the window in a game like this, as it's a derby that both teams will be desperate to win. Arsenal were a class above Spurs last season, but that gap seems to be closing after the appointment of Postecoglou at Tottenham, so this game is incredibly hard to predict. As ever, Paul Merson has put his neck on the line in predicting the result of this game, and he is gone for a very brash prediction in his column for Sportskida. The Pundit tipped Arsenal to win comfortably, tipping up a 4-1 win for the Gunners. He said, "I am very bullish, but I think Arsenal will win this game easily. Tottenham have started the season well, there is no question about it. However, if they play gung-ho football and look to take the game to Arsenal, the Gunners will destroy them. If they stay quiet and look to nick a goal on the counter, they could be in with a chance, but I can't see that happening, as that's not how they have played so far under Postecoglou. Arsenal are coming on the back of a resounding win against PSV Eindhoven in the UEFA Champions League and should top that up with another impressive result at the Emirates Stadium. As much as Spurs fans won't want to hear this, there is every chance that Arsenal do manage to blow Tottenham away here. Spurs are going to come to the Emirates to take the game to Arsenal, but that strategy will play right into the Gunners' hands. Arsenal are brilliant on the break and incredible at playing around teams, especially at home. This is one that could go either way, but if Arsenal are to win this one, it could well be a resounding victory. Pundit reckons 28-year-old Arsenal player will be a bit annoyed after last night. Arsenal hammered PSV upon their return to the Champions League on Wednesday evening. The Gunners ran out as 4-0 winners against the Dutch side in what was an incredibly one-sided game, and every single one of Arsenal's players shone brightly. Well, almost all of them. Indeed, while watching this game, it was easy to forget that one of the big headlines heading into the game was surrounding the goalkeeper situation. David Raya has snatched the number one spot from Aaron Ramsdale, but he barely had a touch against PSV, and according to Adrian Clark, speaking on the Arsenal YouTube channel, the Spaniard may have been getting a bit frustrated about having nothing to do. Clark spoke about the goalkeeper. He said, "We looked a quality side tonight, and that bodes well. When we had to defend their tricky wingers, it wasn't easy, but we didn't really give them many clear-cut opportunities. David Raya didn't have to make a save. Of not, did he? He was probably a bit frustrated, thinking, come on, I want something spectacular." Goalkeepers do love it when they are right in the mix in big games like this, but it has to be said that Raya probably won't have minded his lack of action last night. At the end of the day, Raya is a professional and he won't have come off the pitch after a 4-0 win feeling anything but jubilation. Raya has barely had a save to make since coming in for Arsenal, but he has to clean sheet after two games and he can't be annoyed with that return so far. Raya may well have more to do this weekend in the North London derby. As we wrap up today's Arsenal news, remember to stay tuned for daily updates right here on the channel. Don't miss out on the latest updates, so make sure to hit that subscribe button and give us a like if you found this information valuable. Your support means the world to us. Thanks for watching, and until next time, take care.